This is a comment from a video that I put out that was titled Think Twice Before Cutting People Out of Your Life. I shared a pretty, like probably more than usual, personal story about how I had made the decision to stop talking to my dad to see if he would reach out to me. This was when I was in my early 20s, and he didn't, and it led to us not talking for 5 years. And then, like a few months after we had started talking again, he had an accident and died. And at the end of the video, I sort of as a it wasn't meant as a throwaway, but I think it comes across as a throwaway. I say, like, do I wish that I had those 5 years back? Yes. And I think that this comment is in response to that little note at the end. So this person says, why you'd want, sorry, I was getting messages. Why you'd want 5 years of pain and frustration knowing you were in a one-sided relationship with your father, knowing he cared more about his pride and ego than the connection he could have had with you is beyond me. Relationships take two. However, I'm glad you got to speak to him before his ultimate passing. Hopefully, it helps in your grieving process. Personally, I've cut many people, including family members, off for the same reason. I only want mutual relationships in my life. Nobody, oh, gotta click to read more. Nobody deserves to feel like they have to actively chase and work for someone else's love, care, and respect as if they're somehow unworthy, just as they are. Much love and best wishes to you and yours. I feel like there should be a course around this comment because it is, on one hand, they're saying, I disagree with, the way that you're thinking about this now, your contextualization of this right now. But they're adding, a breadth of information, and it comes across as a very caring message. This is a wonderful comment, is what I'm trying to say. Even if they disagree with me, and I think it's a very fair point, right? Like, and I think I started off that video by saying, look, if you're in an abusive relationship and you're in a relationship you don't want to be in, regardless of who it is, this video is not meant for me to convince you otherwise. It's just for me to share my experience and sort of how it sits with me at the moment. Now, they are making a very good point in the sense of, yeah, for sure, if you don't feel comfortable in a one-sided relationship, if you don't feel like it's fair to you to have to feel like you're kind of groveling or whatever, or trying to convince somebody of your worthiness for them to just sort of like relate back to you, communicate back to you, and you want to cut them out, like, yeah, definitely. You do what you think is best for you. I think the reason that I said that at the end, and the way in which I think it's true, is I wish that I had the skills and the courage to try to change the relationship first, because all that had happened up until then was just silence. Like, there was never any discussion about, like, hey, how come I always call you? How come you never call me? How come you don't seem curious at all about what's going on in my life? I would like to be able to share these things, but it feels weird to just kind of like jump into a conversation that I'm not sure that you want to be having. I wish that I would have like given him an opportunity to adjust, and you can say he should have known better, right? And I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, but clearly he didn't, and so yeah, I think what I mean by it is I wish that I would have at least had the courage to find a way to say that to him and say, here's what's going on for me. Here's how it's making me feel. Are you interested in trying to adjust this? Because I would like to. But like, this isn't working for me. Yeah, I think that that's what I mean by that. And yeah, it may have still ended up like it did, but at least I would have felt, I think, that I had given it, that I had been honest and forthright, and I hadn't just sort of kept it to myself and just expected him to do better without more information. Because obviously he had his own situation happening that just wasn't obvious to him or wasn't available to him or whatever. Um, I